In a world where love is as fragile as life itself, Draven's journey from tragedy to vengeance unveils a haunting truth. The line between love and loss can lead to the darkest depths of the soul. Draven, as a child, witnesses a tragic incident. His beloved horse gets caught in barbed wire, writhing in agony. The boy desperately tries to help the animal, as his mother is asleep in a drunken stupor and cannot do anything. He pulls at the wire, injuring his hands, leaving scars on his palms. From that moment, this horrifying scene haunts Eric in his dreams throughout his life. Years later, a young woman named Shelly lives in Detroit. One day she receives a video message from her friend Zadie, filmed by their mutual friend during a terrifying incident. Zadie suggests using this video to bring down the all-powerful crime boss, Vincent Rogue, to avenge all his crimes, but for now, it's best for them to leave the city. Shelly asks Zadie to stay home and wait for her, but Zadie isn't sure if she's being followed. She turns out to be right. As soon as the girl enters her apartment, it's clear someone is waiting for her. Rogue's right hand, Marion, emerges from the room, immediately seizing Zadie's phone and checking what she sent and to whom. Marion's assistant injects Zadie with some substance, and the girl is taken away. Shelly realizes something has happened to her friend and calls her friend's boyfriend, asking him to wait because Zadie has done something reckless. Shelly goes outside and feels like she's already being watched. As Shelly tries to escape her pursuers, she bumps into a couple of policemen. Her purse falls and its contents scatter, revealing a packet of illegal substances. Shelly is taken to the station and later placed in a rehabilitation center. Meanwhile, grown-up Eric is also undergoing treatment there, struggling with issues stemming from his past. The program is difficult for him, but so far he manages to follow the psychologist's instructions. One day he notices a new girl and is immediately drawn to her. However, relationships with the opposite sex are strictly prohibited in the center. Meanwhile, Vincent Rogue, known as a patron of musical talent, meets a young pianist. He begins a conversation with the girl, which is interrupted by Marion, who informs him that Zadie has been found. Rogue heads to the back room where the frightened girl is being held. He demands to know Shelly's whereabouts, but Zadie knows nothing about it. Rogue laments that he has killed many like her over the centuries he has lived. He would gladly continue killing scum, but they are already headed for hell. His master, however, needs souls like Zadie's. This was the deal. Rogue sends people to hell to avoid going there himself. The girl begs to be released, but Rogue leans in and whispers something in her ear. Zadie's eyes glaze over, and she takes a dagger, ending her own life. Rogue raises his eyes to the sky as if releasing her soul. Meanwhile, Shelly notices Eric during their morning exercises. At breakfast, she sits at his table, despite it being forbidden. She strikes up a conversation, and they quickly connect. The young couple frequently exchange glances and talk whenever possible. During group activities, they try to be as close to each other as possible. Meanwhile, Marion tracks down Shelly through her mother, Sophia. Rogue's people head to the center to retrieve the girl. On that day, Shelly stops by Eric's room and sees his drawings. Some of them feature her, which she likes. She also reads the texts Eric has written and realizes they could easily become songs as she plays some musical instruments. Eric suggests they team up and create something together, and the girl agrees. Just then, an announcement is made that Shelly has visitors. Eric looks out of the room and reassures Shelly, mistaking Marion for a lawyer, but when Shelly sees the woman, she is terrified. She asks Eric to help her hide, though she doesn't know how in the center. Eric leads her to the laundry room and shows her windows that lead to freedom, but first they need to remove the tracker. After freeing Shelly from her bracelet, Eric does the same. When the girl asks why, Eric smiles and says he's tired of the center and intends to go with her. The couple successfully escapes and, after climbing over a fence, flees into the woods. Soon they reach a forest road and stop the first truck that agrees to take them to the city. Shelly leads Eric to her friend's empty apartment as he is out of town. The couple grows closer, finding comfort in each other. They spend quality time together, talk a lot, reminisce about their past lives, and make plans for the future. Sitting on the roof at night, they talk about love and realize they found each other. Meanwhile, the police find Zadie's body and immediately report it to Rogue, who is enjoying the pianist's performance. He orders Marion to find Shelly and finally finish this. If the video leaks, it will severely damage his reputation. Shelly and Eric continue to enjoy their love. They go on nature trips, relax with other young couples, walk a lot, and hope to grow old together. The couple writes songs together, but one day, as Shelly sits down at an instrument, she suddenly remembers something bad. She confesses that she used to love playing. However, her mother forced her to perform in inappropriate places for a child. She had to witness things no child should see. People suffered because of this, and she feels deeply guilty. Shelly can't say exactly what she did, fearing Eric would leave her, but Eric assures her he can't live without her. One night when they go to a club where Shelly finds Zadie's friend, who tells her about her friend's murder and warns her to flee the city. Shelly pulls Eric away, promising to explain everything at home, but when they enter the apartment, Rogue's men attack them. Eric and Shelly die, sinking into the realm between life and death. The lovers are separated. Shelly is plunged into the abyss, while Eric ends up in limbo, a place where souls await their judgment. Here he meets a mysterious spirit, Kronos, who explains that in ancient beliefs, the crow carries a soul to the place where it determines its next path, to rest or to continue fighting against injustice. The crow will show Eric his path. However, Eric doesn't believe in the reality of what's happening and tries to leave. Kronos advises him to wake up and pushes him. Eric falls and wakes up in his apartment. He tries to find Shelly, but she's nowhere to be found. Suddenly, he hears the voice of Marion's henchman, who has returned to the apartment to retrieve Shelly's phone because someone interrupted the killers at night. The man spots Eric and tells him to step outside, claiming to be a policeman. Eric complains that he's lost touch with reality and doesn't understand what's happening to him. Suddenly, the policeman shoots, and Eric falls. However, he immediately gets back up, terrifying the man. They fight, and Eric is stabbed in the stomach, but he pulls the knife out and resumes fighting. Eventually, he kills the policeman with his own knife. He watches as his wounds heal. Stunned, Eric walks out into the street, recalling Kronos' words about the crow and a soul that, due to immense grief, cannot always go where it should. Suddenly, he sees Shelly on a bridge, about to jump into the water. He shouts for her to stop, but she jumps. Eric follows her, once again confronting Kronos. Now he understands that they are both dead. Kronos explains that Shelly is on her way down to a place far worse than this one. Those who killed them made a deal with the devil and received eternal life in exchange for innocent souls. Eric must avenge his and Shelly's deaths so their souls can find peace. His body can no longer be killed, but the pain will never go away. It will last as long as his love remains pure. Kronos pushes the boy and he returns to the world of the living. The first thing he does is visit a friend, from whom he gets a gun. Then he finds Shelly's mother. She tries to dismiss everything as her daughter's substance abuse, but Eric knows exactly what happened. Sophia is afraid to talk, and Eric goes into Shelly's room, where he finds photos and Zadie's pass to the theater. Eric heads there, and at the entrance he finds his killer, who doesn't seem too surprised by his appearance. Eric demands the names of his master, but the man reaches for his gun and dies from a stray bullet. Eric takes his phone and finds Marion's name. At that moment he sees the woman getting into a car with her assistant. He steps onto the road, but the thug quickly realizes what's about to happen and orders Marion to duck. Nonetheless, Eric shoots and then gets into the car, trying to kill everyone inside, but Marion's assistant prevents him from doing so. Eventually, the boy is thrown onto the road, right in front of a massive truck, but the unkillable Eric comes to his senses and recovers. That night, Rogue visits Sophia. He wants to know why Eric visited her, and the woman admits that he is willing to do anything to bring Shelly back. It turns out the mother traded her daughter's soul for wealth, something she now regrets. Rogue sends her soul to hell, after which the woman throws herself out the window. The man gets into the car where the young pianist is waiting and calls Marion, explaining that Eric has returned and orders her to bring him in. Eric meanwhile finds Zadie's friend and accuses him of betrayal. The terrified boy reveals that Marion is a small fry and the real boss is Vincent Rogue. He can do devilish things. With his voice he can penetrate directly into the brain and make people do terrible things. The boy filmed the video that led to the deaths of Zadie and Shelly. Eric lets the boy go and heads to the apartment where they hid after their escape. He remembers happy moments with Shelly and then finds her hiding place where her phone is concealed. He plays the video, in which Shelly, under Rogue's influence, brutally kills her friend. It becomes too much for Eric to bear. He goes to their mutual friend and confesses that he can't shake the heavy thoughts and is beginning to doubt his love. At that moment, two of Rogue's thugs burst into the room, take Eric away, and kill the friend. Seeing this, Eric breaks free and fights back. He is shot and suddenly dies again. Returning to the afterlife, Eric once again faces Kronos, who tells him he has lost his ability to heal because he didn't finish the job and doubted his love for Shelly. Now her soul is doomed to eternal darkness. Eric will have an easy eternity. Kronos advises him to let Shelly go. Eric, however, asks Kronos to take his soul in exchange for saving Shelly's. Kronos reminds him that they will never be together, but Eric insists, agreeing to eternal torment to save his beloved. A flock of crows suddenly soars above them. Kronos cuts his hand and Eric's, joining their blood. Eric is twisted in pain. his eyes clouded with black blood, and he gains the ability to fly between worlds like a crow. Now he can restore justice and gets another chance to kill Rogue. Eric rises from the dead and kills his murderers with their own weapons. He then finds an SMS on one of their phones, revealing that Marion will be waiting at the theater. He applies terrifying makeup, arms himself, and heads to the location. Marion at this time reports to Rogue that the boy is unfortunately dead, which displeases him. However, the show begins, and Marion and her people turn their attention to the performance. Eric enters the theater and eliminates Rogue's guards one by one. They try to stop him, but the boy coldly clears his path, leaving dead bodies behind. Neither knives nor bullets affect him, and his wounds heal instantly. Marion reports this to Rogue, and he thanks her for her service. Meanwhile, Eric reaches Marion's balcony and demands to know Rogue's location. Reluctantly, she gives him the address before Eric beheads her, as well as her guard. He takes their heads to the stage and throws them into the audience, terrifying the spectators. As they scatter, he sees Shelly, remembering her desire for a bouquet of lilies. He grabs the flowers and, after leaving them on the bridge, heads to Rogue's estate. Eric walks unimpeded into Rogue's room, where Rogue reveals that he too is made of flesh and blood. He mocks Eric's intention to bring Shelly back and sympathizes with his disappointment, but Eric doesn't believe in Shelly's guilt. Rogue plunges a dagger into Eric's chest, assuring him that there is no love left in him, only hatred. He tries to steal his powers, but Eric focuses on the bright moments and transports the enemy to the afterlife. Here, he easily kills Rogue, sending his soul to hell and saving Shelly's soul. The girl rises from the abyss and embraces her beloved. He reassures her, explaining that he cannot return. Shelly refuses to go back without him, but nothing can be changed. She awakens on the night of their death and sees Kronos in the form of a medic, who tells her that Eric gave his life for hers. Shelly weeps, and Eric remembers the bright moments of their meetings, believing that their souls will one day find each other again. The film is a story of love, pain, and the eternal struggle for justice that never ends, even after death. The story teaches us that love can be both a powerful force and a source of profound pain. It highlights the importance of fighting for what is right, even in the face of overwhelming darkness. Ultimately, it reminds us that true love is selfless and may require great sacrifice, but it also holds the potential for redemption and hope.